who both went to West Point and then off to Harvard, and then ended up as the only person in history to have held both the position of the director of the CIA and be the 70th United States Secretary of State, Mr. Mike Pompeo. How you doing, Secretary?
I am doing great. It is great to be back with you. Hope you're doing well, too.
I'm doing well, too. It seems just about everybody is chasing your endorsement these days, and you've been handing them out relatively liberally, if you'll forgive the expression.
Actually, just the opposite. I'm handing it out to very capable, strong leading conservatives, folks who will actually reclaim the greatness of America and help build the America that we all know and love.
Secretary Pompeo, by the way, is the author of a brand new book that's coming up, so he obviously has free time. I don't know how. Never Give an Inch, Fighting for the America I Love. So before we talk about the book and before we talk about some of the issues of the day, I want to ask you straight up, are you going to run for president?
Oh, we got 6 more days to grind our way through, stop the bleeding, stop stupid stuff from happening. When we turn the corner in November, Susan and I'll pray. We'll try and figure it out. We know how much America matters. We've never turned away from a good fight.
So are we going to see a red tide, a red flood? Are we going to see a red tsunami? Make your prediction for next Tuesday, please.
It feels really good. I'm actually headed to Connecticut tomorrow to campaign in races that I don't think we ever thought we'd have a shot at. So it feels like we're going to do really well. It reminds me, Lars, when we first spoke, it would have been not long after I was a member of Congress back in 2010 when I came in with that huge Tea Party class. So while that's been, 12 years on, the energy feels the same to me. So I'm looking for good things come Wednesday morning.
Well, since you're going to Connecticut, you maybe already have this on your list of things to mention. You know that's one of the parts of America that's going to run short of heating oil this fall, and they're already telling people we don't have enough to go. Now, can you believe this? In a technological country like America, we have to tell people in one of the oldest states in America, we don't have enough heating oil to get you through the winter. Sorry about that, but you can talk to Joe.
Totally self-inflicted wound. That's the heck of it. Right, bad things happen, right? Storms happen. You fall down steps. This was a political decision made by the radical extremist left that said, now we're going to go run the country on sunshine and windmills. And we're not going to build the infrastructure to move diesel and heating oil to the Northeast. I remember having this debate, must have been 10, 11 years ago with then Congressman Ed Markey, now Senator Markey from another state that's going to suffer, Massachusetts, this winter. None of this had to be. The prices are already through the roof. And Lars, the least amongst us get hurt the most. This political decision to walk away from the most affordable energy source and among the cleanest energy sources known to man is just really going to do a lot of harm come this winter.
Now, even Bill Clinton, you remember Bill Clinton, when Clinton realized his plans in the 90s were not working out and the Republicans were getting rewarded with more seats on Capitol Hill, he did a course correction. Do you see any chance of a course correction coming from the Biden administration or the soon-to-be minority party on Capitol Hill?
No evidence of it, Lars, but I will tell you, sometimes pain changes the mind, and I think there's going to be all right. And I think there will literally be a set of reflections from parts of the party that say we can't continue down the same path we in, or we will literally be losing in places we've never lost before. And we focus on these House and Senate races. I've been out helping district attorneys, school board members. I think we're going to see all across the ballot just a reflection of America saying this is nonsense. I'm worse off than I was 2 years ago by leaps and bounds. I see no indication they have any idea how to get America back under control and turn it. And so we're going to give the other guys a chance. And then I pray, Lars, that we'll actually deliver on the promises that we've all made.
Well, I want to get to that in a moment, but I'm talking to former Secretary of State, former Director of the CIA, former Member of Congress for the 4th District of Kansas, Secretary Mike Pompeo. Let me ask you about that, though, because now I don't think in all the years I've covered politics, and I'll bet in all the years you've been in politics, have you ever seen a group like Biden and the Democrats who are now saying, hey, if you'll give us the win next Tuesday, this is literally the headline in Jeff Bezos' Washington Post, Biden says Democrat election wins will bring a fundamental shift on the economy. Do they understand that they've been pulling all the gears and turning all the wheels on the economy for close to the last 2 years?
I don't think they do, or maybe they do and they just can't admit it to themselves. I suppose you'd need a better psychoanalyst than me, a trained professional. What I know for sure is that the American people know that they've been the ones, to use your phrase, right, turning the gears, pulling the levers, making the political decisions, and we can all see the results. I literally have the TV sitting on here. I'm watching interest rates continue to climb, even today. This hurts the people who can afford it least. And if you're in the home building business, you're in the energy business, if you're in the manufacturing world that I was in for 10 years, you are less likely to have a good year in 2023 if you elect Democrats a week from today, or a week from yesterday.
Secretary Mike Pompeo.
You elect a new cast of characters.
Secretary Mike Pompeo is the author most recently of Never Give an Inch, Fighting for the America I Love. So let me ask you about that. You mentioned the other day, you mentioned a moment ago, you were saying, well, if we get the votes, and I think we will, I think we'll have a large majority in the House, maybe 4 or 5 points in the Senate. If we get it, but will we actually do something with it? Not like what happened under Paul Ryan with Donald Trump in the White House. Will the Republicans actually hold the line and never give an inch?
I'm counting on it. You know, Lars, you know, I've had this conversation before. There's a handful of things you can compromise on, right? Things that are at the margin, 0.001 in particular matter versus 0.0015, fair enough. But on the things that matter, on the animating principles of America, right? Like, parents should have a big say in how their children are educated. The fact that there's only 2 genders, the central thesis of big government failure and returning money to the average American. On those things, you cannot give an inch because we've seen what they'll do. We've seen what the extremist left will do. It is intolerable. It's inconsistent with our founding, and I am counting on every member of the House of Representatives who made promises to their constituents over the past year to remember what they told them and then never give in on the things that actually matter.
Well, I hope you're right, because I'm not counting on it. I want to do what Reagan said, trust but verify. You know, when they get back there and they start making excuses, well, we've got the majority now, but you understand we can't get anything done. I hope they start throwing bills on Joe's desk on a regular basis saying, here, Mr. President, this is so reasonable, you can't say no to this. And then watch him veto it and tell the American people he's turning down reasonable things. Let me ask you this. Put on your Secretary of State hat, Mr. Secretary, and tell me this. Do you see any sign that other than sending large checks in large amounts from the American Treasury, that the Biden administration is using diplomacy at all to try to bring about an end to what's going on in Ukraine right now?
I haven't seen it, and we all know that this ends with a diplomatic resolution somehow, some way. That's how this war, the death of Ukrainians, all the agony that this has caused. This is Vladimir Putin's war. He brought it. He is the aggressor. But in the end, this is going to take a diplomatic solution. And it takes a diplomatic effort, too, to remind the Europeans, as we did for 4 years, and I have the bruises to show for it and the scars, remind the Europeans that the defense of Europe is first and foremost their responsibility. I was a young soldier patrolling the East German border in the 80s, and it always frustrated me, even then, when I was 22, 23 years old, that you had an American kid out there patrolling that place. The Europeans have the first responsibility. I'm happy that we've done what we've done to date to support the Ukrainians. But in the end, a diplomatic solution led by the Europeans, supported by us here in America, is the outcome that will most quickly stop that conflict.
You've been generous with your time. We're close to the clock. Is Joe Biden going to finish his term as president, or will he bow out early?
Oh, goodness, I don't know. I am just counting on the fact that we're now under 1,500 days left to his time. in the maximalist worst case scenario, America needs a change in leadership. The sooner, the stinking better.
Absolutely. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, he is the author most recently of Never Give an Inch, Fighting for the America I Love. The unique combination of West Point and Harvard, and former director of the CIA and former member of Congress. Will be back in a moment. You're listening to the Lars